Hey guys, Mrs. Garth. I am just going to review greatest common factor with you. This is something we did probably early March, and it's been a while. So let's make sure we know what we're doing. If you know what you're doing, fantastic. If not, stay tuned. Let's figure this out together. So on your notes, the first thing that we have is 3x squared plus 12x. In your notes, it's giving you step-by-step process. So the first thing says to write down all of the factors of each term. We are going to do that. If you need a factor sheet, I have one uploaded so that you can see what the factors of each term are. I don't have mine on me, but I do know the factors. So first, let's look at 3x squared. My factors of 3 are 1 and 3, and then there are 2 x's. I know that because of the x squared. Then I need to write down the factors of 12x. My factors of 12x are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12, and there is 1x. Then the third thing we have to do is we have to circle the common factors, the things that they have in common. So we will see that they have 1s, no 2, they do have 3s in common, and then they each have an x. Then the next thing that we have to do is we are going to take the largest number that we circled, which is 3, and the number of variables that we've circled. We've circled 1x. So that's on the outside of our parentheses. We're going to start our parentheses. Now, because there are 2 terms here, I need to have 2 terms in my parentheses. So I'm going to look and see first at the number. 3x squared, so 3 divided by 3, because that's the largest number that I can divide both of these by, is going to be a 1. Then the next thing I'm going to see is how many variables. I took one variable out. That means I have 1x left. There's a plus here, so I'm going to write a plus. And then I'm going to go to my 12x. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. And I have 1x that's circled. That means that came out, and I don't have any more variables left. So my answer, when I greatest common factor this, is going to be 3x times 1x plus 4. Let's look at the next one that we have. So this will be written down for you so that you can copy it in case I went a little too fast. Also remember, you can pause the video at any time. Let's look at the second one that I have. I have 8m squared minus 32. Again, we're going to write down the factors of 8m squared and 32. So our factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4, and 8. And then I have 2 m's because of this squared. My factors of 32 are going to be 1, 2, 4, 6. Right, no, not 6. 2, 4, 8, 16, and 32. And I do not have any variables to write down. Let's circle everything that's in common. My 1s are in common. 2, 4, 8. I don't have any variables to circle. So the largest number that I circled is 8. I have no variables, so that means that I'm done for the outside of my parentheses. So then in the inside, again, let's look. I have 2 terms, which means inside the parentheses, I need to have 2 terms. So 8 divided by 8 is 1. I did not take out any variables for my common, so I have 2 m's left, which is going to be m squared. because of this subtraction sign, it's going to be minus, and then 32 divided by 8 is 4. So our answer for greatest common factor is 8 times 1m squared minus 4. Things to watch out for is that we need to make sure that we're always paying attention to our minus sign, our addition or subtraction sign, and we're also always paying attention to see we have 2 terms here, which means that we have to have the same number of terms inside our parentheses. Let's do our third problem. So our third problem, I have 30x squared plus 5. So the first thing it tells us to do is to write down all of our factors. So our factors of 30 are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, 30, and I have 2 x's. Our factors of 5. 5 is a prime number, so that means our factors of 5 are just 1 and 5. And notice I don't have any variables there. So we've written down all of our factors. The next thing that we have to do is we have to circle anything that we have in common. So I have a 1 in common, and I have a 5 in common. So the largest number that I have in common is 5. I will write that number on the outside of the parentheses. I do not have a variable in both terms, which means I cannot take a variable out of both terms. Notice I did not circle any of these variables. So I start my parentheses. I have 2 terms. That means I have to have 2 terms inside my parentheses. 30 divided by 5 is 6. I did not take out any variables, so that means I keep my x squared. This is a plus, which means that I have to have a plus. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So this one gets to be a little tricky because sometimes you might think the 5 divided by 5 and you don't have to put it there. That's why I keep reminding you that because I have 2 terms, I have to have 2 terms inside my parentheses. And that's why we're also always looking at what the number is and we're dividing it by the number on the outside of the parentheses so that we always end up with at least some number. It might just be a 1, but 1 is a number. I can have $1, that means it's definitely a number. So our fourth and last one that I'm going to go over is 4y squared minus 24y. Now we need to write down all of the factors that we have. So our factors for 4 are 1, 2, 4, and then I have 2 y's. This y squared means that I have 2 y's. Then we have to write down our factors of 24y. So my factors of 24 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, 24, and I have 1 y, so I'm going to write that y down. Once we have those written down, I know that I went through them quickly, so make sure you pause if you need to write them down yourself. Once we have them written down, we're going to circle everything that they have in common, because remember, we're finding the greatest common factor. So everything they have in common. So I'm going to circle my 1, 2, 4. No more numbers up top, so I can't go on for numbers. And I have a y. So the highest number that I circled was 4. I also circled a y. So they have 4 and y in common. Now, that means that I can start my parentheses. I have 2 terms up top, which means that I have to have 2 terms inside my parentheses. 4 divided by 4 is 1. y squared divided by y is 1y. Or we can look at it like I had 2 y's, I circled 1, so I have 1y left over. Because of this minus sign, I have to put the minus. 24 divided by 4 is 6. I had a y, but I circled it and I pulled it out in front of my parentheses. There are no other y's left. There are no other variables left in my factor, so that means that I cannot put 1 here. So my final answer is 4y times 1y minus 6. I have uploaded a practice sheet for you, so if you need more practice, please make sure that you do it. We will be using this for maybe the rest of the year, so we need to make sure that we understand and know how to do greatest common factor. Enjoy your day.